Hello everyone, and welcome back to the And More Bus Videos YouTube channel. I'm And More Bus Videos, otherwise known as And More Central, depending on what day of the week and what video you are watching. I always do a facial expression when I say that, and sort of think to myself, I'm like, oh yeah, what video? And I always do the facial expression like you lot can actually see it. So yeah, just for context for that, there is a facial expression that goes with that phrase and that you lot will never see because of how these videos are set up. But yeah, just a little bit of extra context for you there. So this is a video that I've already attempted to film, but it didn't work that well. It sort of got to about 59 minutes on the filming and then came up with a notification saying it's run out of space. Now, if I'd have known about that, I wouldn't have driven the entire route. I'm thinking it had filmed the entire thing until about 2 minutes before I finished, and I looked at it and was like, okay. So, yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen. I've cleared a bit of space to require because it is a big video. You will all see the video time. I hope that most of you can join us for the full video, as in this one, I finally drive the entire 100 service from Scunthorpe to Lincoln via Gainsborough. So in real life, the vehicles that operate this service, the 100, the YX67 MMCs, like 10900 that we've got in front of us, they're based at Gainsborough. So what drivers would do is they would do Gainsborough. There is a guy floating. Okay, just going to make... Whoa, okay. It's coming through us. But in real life, they are based at Gainsborough, so the drivers would most likely, due to how long it takes to do the route, would most likely do Gainsborough, Scunthorpe, Scunthorpe, Lincoln, Lincoln, Gainsborough, come off, or vice versa. So we're sort of replicating the fact that the bus has done Gainsborough to Scunthorpe. We're then going to drive all the way through from Scunthorpe to Lincoln, and then what the duty would more than likely do is then run Lincoln to Gainsborough and change drivers, because you physically can't do much more than that, because you are limited on domestic hours to 5.5 driving hours max. So our vehicle is going to be 10900. I did debate driving a Trident on this, but I thought, well, we do have the Interconnect livery, and part of the AI pack that I got for Gainsborough a bit ago included a load of slightly edited repaint to reflect the fleet numbers, basically to mean it's more accurate in AI, to reflect the fleet numbers of each of the Interconnect MMCs. So I thought it'd be rude not to use these specific vehicles. I have also transferred that over into the Lincolnshire map that we are driving now, so we'll hopefully pass a few MMCs with different fleet numbers on the 100 as well, just to add that little bit of extra realism. I don't know why I got rid of the... I'm going to assume that's that. There we go. And we were supposed to leave a minute ago, but it's not an issue because I know how the timings on this route work. So I'm going to put the route arrows on just so we don't go wrong, because that would be rather embarrassing on a route like this. So nothing's happened. Okay, I'm going to do hit manually. So that is Scunthorpe to Lincoln. Excellent. We'll wait for the blind to load up. That's super. So the route in this direction is timetabled at approximately 1 hour and 40 minutes. I would imagine it's possibly going to take us an hour and a half tops. For those of you watching this video in video format, unlike me that's physically driving it, you'll actually know the answer to that, because you'll be able to see how long it actually took. But the plan is hopefully, if I do absolutely floor it, with a few breaks in between, it'll only take us, roughly speaking, about an hour and a half. I would appreciate it if the steering responded a little bit better than it is doing. So it is quite nice to have a little break from the Optare Solo. I am going to start driving it again, but I thought we'll have a little bit of a break, done quite a lot of intense videos on it, and then we will return to filming that one. So just wanted a little bit of a break from it, because then you appreciate something more. If you have a little bit of a break, you appreciate it a lot more. So that's kind of the plan. So usually in real life there is a timetabled 10-minute break at Gainsborough. Now in the game it doesn't time that, that's why there's 10 minutes saved. I believe usually the running time in real life is an hour and 50 minutes. And it's usually a timetable, I believe it's 20 to 30 past or 25 past to 35 past that is physically timetabled, basically so that they can facilitate driver breaks and any recovery time that may be required on the run as well. So if there's been an incident on the route, there's been some peak time traffic in Scunthorpe, or there's been peak time traffic in Lincoln, that 10 minutes of break basically is a little bit of recovery time, so it means that the run can hopefully be a bit more punctual on the other end of the route. So it's not going to cause as much of an issue, so to speak. If it does actually mean that that is the case, it sometimes is another thing, but it is quite cool to add that. But on this specific route, you don't have that. However, I did notice that last time I drove this, when I was hopefully going to get the video filmed and it just didn't want to work, I did find that it's still, you still end up with 10 minutes there if you just absolutely floored it. Absolutely gunned it, just went at the speed of the national speed limit roads and that sort of thing. I found it was easily achievable to have a 10-minute break there. Unintentional, like, but it was still easily achievable. So I do find it cool driving through Scunthorpe on this specific map, as you do notice a few differences compared to the actual Scunthorpe map. There are a few, sometimes subtle, sometimes more major differences in the road structure. Obviously, elements that have been updated since the initial map was built, or we've had new sorts of spleens and objects and junctions created that means it can be recreated a bit more accurately as well. Come on, steering. There we go. Doesn't seem to be wanting to be as responsive as usual, does the steering today? That doesn't fill me with any hope, but we should manage. Now, I believe the next route that Mr. Moose has worked on is the 107. My good friend Joe has just, I believe, done a stream on that recently. That will be a few weeks after this video is released, because I record these a little bit in advance at the moment because I'm sorting out a few bits on the personal side of life that practically mean I won't be able to drive on OMSI for a bit. So there is rationale behind the madness on that one, but believe it or not, that is the base context that we're working with. Hey, Interconnect. Another interconnect. That's not a good sign, because that means that the interconnects aren't going to be on the 100. Basically, how I've done the AI is I've slightly botched it, so that on the 100 you do actually get interconnect MMCs, but there's not that many of them. So, and because the Scunthorpe AI vehicles on here utilise the same AI list, it basically means that if you spawn in and start at Scunthorpe, you get a load of MMCs. So I am hoping that we still pass some on the 100, although we might start seeing random liveried MMCs. That's what tends to happen if you run out of actual AI list spec vehicles. It will just use that vehicle type but random repaints. So there's also a chance that that might happen. But yeah, the latest route is going to be the 107. That is basically a longer-winded service between Gainsborough and Lincoln. It does make sense to introduce that. That uses your older Trident vehicles and things like that usually. On a good day, sometimes MMC on a bad day. Because what you've got to remember with the 100 is they have their base vehicles. So let's think how many they've got. They've got 96, 97, 98, 99. 19100 and 19101. That is 6 buses for a 4-bus diagram. So you always have 2 spare ones, pretty much. And the 2 spare ones, on a good day, end up on other diagrams and end up on other routes. because as much as it's nice to have the Tridents on your longer Doncaster services and your Gainsborough Lincoln runs and things like that, they are old vehicles, and I do understand Gainsborough wanting to put the MMCs out if they've got them available. Come on, brakes. There we go. Respond. So speaking of the Tridents, Gainsborough are continuing to withdraw theirs. At the time that I'm filming this, as I say, is a few weeks before the video is getting released. I believe 18050 is the latest one rostered up for withdrawal. Presumably it's going to be running out of MOT, I would imagine. So that's the next one to go. I may potentially get a run on it, depending on how things go. But I don't actually know the answer to that question yet, because I haven't actually, because with how Gainsborough Depot is, I mean, it's, unless you're going to spend a day in Gainsborough waiting for the bus to come out, you like chance it being at Lincoln, or you chance it being at Doncaster, and for me it'll be the latter. So it'll be a chance at Doncaster to see if it actually shows up, and if it does, it'll be absolutely brilliant. Although there's also a high likelihood that it won't. So and I mean, the day that I'm filming this, it did its usual 595 score run, and the day before it did a day on the 47s, and today it's not. It's just disappeared. I mean, presumably it might be doing the afternoon 99 board, but it's all confusing when it comes to the Tridents and things at Retford. It's all confusing. So there we go, so we are now on the run out of Scunthorpe. The only thing I really don't like about driving this section in Scunthorpe is just all of the traffic lights, and the fact that where we're turning left now, every single one of those sets of traffic lights seem to catch me out, every time. I don't tend to get a clear run down here. To be fair, when it's me and I do set off late, it is a little bit annoying, because the whole point is to set off late is absolutely gun it. So, and when you stop start at traffic lights, it isn't particularly ideal. See what I mean? So yeah, this is the first set of lights that we've been caught by. No doubt we'll get caught by at least another two. So there we go, so that's a 101, is that? 10898. Now, I've been lucky enough, in fairness, to actually avoid any of these. I mean, I've pretty much photographed all of them. I think I photographed them in Scunthorpe, in Gainsborough, in Lincoln, and in Doncaster. I photographed these MMCs. And I think I've done pretty well to actually avoid having to go in any of them. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind MMCs, but when you've got the choice between an MMC and a Trident, it's going to be Trident. It's kind of a no-brainer kind of thing. Oh, a one has just pinged out of nowhere. There we go, just. Oh, it didn't like that. It did not like that revving at all. You see, look at that. Just because of those lights changing, this is how much of a queue has formed as a result. Still only 1 minute late, so we've done okay. I mean, we were a couple of minutes late leaving Scunthorpe because I did go around to set off round to stop the minute late. Yep, see what I mean? Nervous set of traffic lights. Oh, there we go. Oh no, we've got lucky with these. Oh wow, that's rare. Now I would argue that the most scenic part of this route is the bit after the 101 finishes at Scotthorpe. The bit after that, I would argue, is the most scenic part. Don't get me wrong, the entire route is lovely and it provides such a nice variety of scenery. And I think the section after Scotthorpe is my personal favourite. Although, in fairness, going all the way down to Lincoln's pretty cool. So. And now we are back on time. Well, there we go. It limits out at 55. See, I'm used to just absolutely gunning it on these roads in the veiling. That's just the veiling, the first class Yorkshire repaint pack that just doesn't have a limiter on it. That is still pretty much my favourite bus in OMSI at the moment, just purely because of how smooth it is, how lovely it sounds, the relatability of the repaints that I've got for it, and the fact you can just absolutely gun it on routes. It really, really is good. I mean, you do have to sort of stop in very good time, but it is a good bus to absolutely gun it on country roads. Oh, come on, brakes. They did not want to respond to those brakes. That was rather scary, was that? They don't seem to have warmed up today. There we go, missing him. Well, don't do that. I was that busy concerned about the bus actually stopping. I didn't see where the wheels were going. So I've never actually done the 100 in real life. Never been on it in real life. I mean, never driven it, but never been on it in real life. I had one opportunity to go on it, and I was presented with the option between an E400 MMC for an hour and 50 minutes via Gainsborough on the 100, or go to Lincoln on the 103 that takes an hour and a half. And initially it was going to be the B7 Eclipse 21248, the Greater Manchester one that I was pretty chuffed with. I was like, oh, that'll do. And then it got even better when one of the 56 plate darts got rostered up instead. 35142. So yes, it was a no-brainer that day as to which bus and which route I went on. Safe to say the 100 was lovely. No, I'm kidding. The 103, the 103 was a really, really nice run. Really good route and a really good motor at the time. I mean, at the moment, I think they're using some of the Chester, first Chester, and first York Eclipses on the 103 at the moment. That means it is a route that I do have my eye on to revisit. Purely because I really want to go on those YGO9s again. They were new to York for the X64 between Leeds and York, a route I have quite a lot of fond childhood memories of, and then they were, I believe, 6, 9, 3 or 9, 10 and 11, pretty much, ish, and they went over to... There we go, went over to First and Chester. I believe it was them, and I'm not sure if they got other YGO9s as well. I know they definitely got the 693s. I mean, they might have got some others at YGO9s, because I know the native Chester ones were DKO9s. So they were the native ones, although I am also conscious as I say that there were some... I'm sure they got some earlier 693s as well to cover the amount of vehicles I needed. So I do need to do my research into that, but the point is Stagecoach East Midlands do have 693 or 9, 10 and 11 somewhere. Where that is, I don't know, but they do have them somewhere. We're due here at 12:40 and it's now 34, so let's just update that a bit, make sure there's nobody waiting, and then... So this is what I mean with this route. It gives you a load of time, however, you can also just absolutely floor it and end up sitting time everywhere. That is what I prefer to do. Because there's no point to be driving really, really slowly to try and keep time. When, for the purposes of a video, I can show you all the route, can absolutely floor it around, have a nosy at some places for a couple of minutes, instead of just steadily driving around and not having time sat anywhere. Each of their own, that's my preference in game. Real life, different story, but that's my preference in game. So it's apparently coming up that we're going to be early at the next stop anyway, so... That was a wee bit faster than I anticipated. This is what I mean, if you're driving along a fast section of route, sometimes it's so easy to just forget how quick you're going in a bus, because with a bus it doesn't feel as fast as other vehicles. So which one's this? I-10901. There we go. Just got some popping, we're 3 minutes early. I mean, we left the previous stop on time. Then we're going to be, it's going to say last stop 3 minutes early, but you just can't sit at every single bus stop for 5 minutes. Oh no, it's come up as 1 minute. Oh, I don't know. Oh, well. I'm sorry, Val. What kind of angle around the corner is that? There was no way on earth I was going to be able to miss you. I've took it wide and everything, and you thought, nah, I'm just going to catapult myself straight into bus. All that road, bless. Anyway, let's keep going. The joys of OMSI 2 and the reason that when you drive these maps you do not have collisions turned on. Because cars and vans and things like to catapult themselves into you. It's just a well-known fact. Now this is the bit that I would refer to as my favourite section. As we keep going down this next bit to the next major village / town. It's just nice. The scenery build-up is just really, really nice. It gives you a sense of Lincolnshire. This is what this gives. Like the rest of them, it's nice villages and towns that people know the names of. But this is like gives you a proper sense of Lincolnshire. I do wish the brakes were a little bit more responsive on this. They didn't just decide when they wanted to fade. They kind of gave me a little bit of a heads up. Would be quite nice. Because we're not even that busy either. I mean, we probably added about 1 ton to the capacity, because 15 passengers equals 1 ton. So it's not, shouldn't be affecting braking distance that much, really. And then she's constantly coming up with warning lights. Go on then, Minnie. There we go. Just as a lovely route is this bit. This bit is a really, really nice section of route. And we're going to Lawton. That is quite literally the bus stop for Lawton. And then we leave the village again. I mean, if this map is telling me to slow down, then I should probably slow down. Come on, steering. There we go. Stay with me. It's just so cool, is this? Really, really nice section of route. And this is one of the bits that you only get to do on the 100. It's not like shadowed. It's not a shadowed section. So you do have to drive the full 100 to enjoy this section. That I think is the right way to do it. Next time I drive this, yes, I will utilise a Trident. And there are some Gainsborough spec Trident repaints that I got, so they can be utilised. Utilised in a future video on the 100, or potentially probably just the 107 if that route's getting launched next. Because I do like driving these routes on Gainsborough, on sort of Lincolnshire generally. Because Gainsborough Garage have some really decent routes. As I say, I'm hoping that after this 107's launched, that in fairness, as much as I do want a Retford route, the 107 is the most logical route to do next. I do want a Retford route after that. There we go, so this is tap on, tap off, that's what this is. Okay. Somewhere Kirkton Road. And we're still doing relatively okay for time, generally. Generally speaking, relatively okay. Gosh, it has some good power on the hills. I don't know what it is with these, but it was like the last one that I drove when I tried to do this route previously. That has absolutely no power on the hills and decent brakes, yet this one has horrendous brakes, but really good power on the hills. A very nice contrast, and we're busy as well. We're a lot busier than the last time I did this run. So let you jump on. Oh, we are really busy today for some reason. Not even sure that we're anywhere near anywhere near Gainsborough yet. And we do seem to be filling up with people. Usually you get quite a few people when you start approaching the centre. Not this early on. Well, at least it gives us a bit of a purpose, and it's possibly the busiest bus I've ever had on the Gainsborough map at all. Busiest one. Now, the next stop, by the looks of it, is Queen Elizabeth High School. It does mean that we are approaching Gainsborough, so we're not actually that far off. That is good. Because I forgot which angle we were coming in on. I really did. I forgot which direction, so I was expecting a different entrance to Gainsborough, but it's, yeah, we're coming in on this side, coming in off the north side and going on the south side. Did we clear it? We did clear it. Stuff like that is just like, you look at it and go, 16-1, I'll be fine. It's still a wee bit scary going under bridges like that. Because there's no diverging arrows into the middle, so it was fine. Just because of how much of a dip it is, you can't judge it as well. Oh, I didn't mean to give you coins. There we go. See there, the brakes were a lot more responsive than I was expecting. Just seems when you go past a certain speed, the brakes don't want to know. Absolutely don't want to know. It's not ideal, really, especially saying that said speed is rather high. So. Well, there we go, past the football club. So we must be near in the centre now. I think at some point shortly we turn left and the bus station's quite literally there. Although again I could be entirely wrong. Oh no, I think I am wrong. I think we're coming from a totally different angle as to what I thought we were. Yeah, no, we have. We've come in a totally different direction. So now it's on the right-hand side. You can tell I've not driven the 100 in this direction yet. This is the first time doing that. Now I know where we are. Because usually when you used to... Oh, sorry. It's because when you used to do the... No, more again, okay. There we go. So when you used to do the Queen Elizabeth High School 590, I think you go down the other road, or the old free service, you went down the other road, and you didn't drop down onto the one that we were on. So I think that's what caught me out a little bit. Because the run that we went down sort of a newer lower road that I've never used before. I've never used to the best of my knowledge. Come on, brakes, there we go. Yeah, this was the road. That road we've just seen that car shoot across. That's the one I thought we were going to be coming in on. Well, either way, we're here. That's what matters. So we're arriving now into Gainsborough bus station. Check departure time. Don't leave 25 minutes early. That's pretty much what that means. 13:04 would you off here? Where's my running board? Is it definitely 13:04? Or 13:05, okay. So we've got 7 minutes early we've rocked up. So I'm going to shoot the time up a little bit. So I'm 13:54, so we can get 6 more seconds, get everybody on, and then we'll make a move, as there's no point sticking around Gainsborough. We've all seen the bus station before, we all know what it's like. So we want to get ourselves to Lincoln. No point of messing about. Why are you just walking directly towards the bus? People. There we go, that was pretty good. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't quite expecting to make it through those lights in both directions. I did very, very well. I don't usually do that well with those lights. I usually, in fairness, get caught by them in both directions, not just one. So I know these Interconnect buses seem to get themselves quite out and about. They seem to be for when East Midlands has to send vehicles places. They tend to be the first vehicles they send. Obviously, they do have 2 spare vehicles, but they do end up usually sending a fair one more than that. It's the issue with a route that only has 4 PVR but 6 buses for it. You do tend to find that other places will tend to steal your buses. So that's what they tend to find to Gainsborough that their buses end up all over the place. I mean, they go to Hull quite regularly when Hull's shorter buses because they've sent buses elsewhere. I'm quite certain then some of them ended up down in Birmingham for the Commonwealth, or at least that was what they went on loan to Hull for. I'm quite certain they also end up in Cheltenham as well for Cheltenham races. So they end up there. I mean, Gainsborough do some weird and random runs once a week, I believe, or twice a week, I believe. It's Wednesdays and Fridays, I think. The 398 to Belton operates, that goes through part of the Isle of Axel. Now, although they do tend to put tridents on it from time to time, the regular staple diet for that does end up being MMCs, because obviously they are available, so they're less likely to break down somewhere. And then there's also the X90 service that Gainsborough operate between Gainsborough and Cleethorpes, and that's been running, I believe, every Saturday. They operate that service. I didn't quite know about it until recently, but they operate that service once a week as well. So that I thought was pretty cool. So you can go from Gainsborough to Cleethorpes for the day on your local bus service. That I think is pretty awesome. A lot of people getting off in this estate clearly wanting to go to B&Q. B&Q, the petrol station and the Vauxhall car dealership, they're clearly three very popular places in Gainsborough, even though that's got a load of Ford Transit vans and Land Rovers parked outside. We don't judge with these things, we don't judge. Oh, not yet. I thought that bus stop was a little bit closer than it is. Oh, what have we got coming in the other direction? Is it an Interconnect or is it a random livery? It is a random livery. It is Coastliner 700 on the 100 service. Way. That was the only issue with this, is we will run out of liveries, run out of vehicles when the AI in Scunthorpe is all reliant as well. You run out of MMCs quite quickly. I mean, I found doing it from Lincoln, all the 100s ended up being the correct interconnects, but because I've done it the other way around, it's not the case, unfortunately. Goodness me, that Focus was not slowing down. That was one of those, thank goodness we actually got rounded as quick as we did. As they were not slowing down for the bus. Hey, and back into the national speed limit roads, that's what we want. I do want to do another Lincoln day. For those of you that have watched the video on the Ammo Central channel, oh, don't want to do that. Those of you who watched the video on the Ammo Central channel, you'll see how interesting, in quotation marks, my Lincoln bus network review video plan went. Basically, on the day that I went to Lincoln, they were suffering with really, really bad staff shortages on an already skeleton network. Stuff was just, there was a massive list of stuff being cancelled on each service for the day. So it proved in some aspects virtually impossible to get certain vehicles in. It was really, really difficult because buses would come in and they'd just sit there. They were absolutely chucking it down, and that wasn't helping. Absolute torrential rain in the afternoon. It was dreadful with rain. And then to add on to everything, the local football club were playing. So everybody rushed into the centre, to rush to the stadium, to rush into the pubs. So it was just a concoction mix of a load of traffic, hardly any buses, absolutely rammed buses, torrential rain, and everything running late. So it was not a nice mix, per to speak. Not a nice mix of circumstances, unfortunately. But I won't mind going back at some point, because they did have some decent vehicles. They just really needed to sort out the staffing back then, because it was like a decent network to go around, but it was so difficult to try and sample certain buses throughout the day. It was really, really difficult. I also remember on the day I went as well, for some bizarre reason, they hardly had any Tridents out. I remember thinking to myself, I was like, where on earth have all the Tridents gone? Because they have a load on fleet and a load on reserve, and the reserve ones keep switching and swapping like no tomorrow. And for some reason, I think there was only about 4 Tridents out on the day that I went. So I remember going and thinking, well, surely there should be more than this. I mean, they've got more now. They've got a few of the older ones from Mansfield at Lincoln, a couple of the 2 MKO2s they had. I went on 17717, I believe it was. Don't think I did 30. I think it was 17, because I'm quite certain that was one I did in me vloggy video of the oldest Yorkshire and East Mids buses. So I remember that. It was a lovely, lovely motor. Was that MKO2. Really, really nice. I mean, you could tell it sounded a little bit tired, but to say how old it was, it didn't sound half as clapped as it should have done. It sounded really, really nice. Arguably nicer than a couple of more modern Tridents I've been on in recent times. Oh, that's pretty crisp. How close to the curve that was. That is pretty crisp. So there we go, so Fox and Hounds is our next stop. Apparently due there, the scheduled time of arrival is in 4 minutes time, but we're 2 minutes early, so I think we're going to get there slightly earlier than that. Yeah, we're going to get there slightly earlier than that. Here we are. So we're in Willingham. And there we go, in the main part of Willingham. I believe this person's waiting for the bus. So we are still running a few minutes early, but it's fine. Everybody's waiting at the bus stops, it's fine. Back into some national speed limit road action again, unsurprisingly. That's what's quite nice about routes like this, like the Lincolnshire map as a whole, is you do get that nice mix. You get a few little bits of urban area, and then you get these lovely open country roads. And driving old stagecoach vehicles and MMCs and bits like that up and down these routes, it's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. I think what would be quite nice, in fairness, after the 107, and it's me eating my words here, purely because I am the same person that has said that I want Retford, but logically I think the 103 would possibly be the next route after the 107, logically speaking, because the 103 does the same thing as the 100, only goes a slightly different section of route. So I mean, you could have the odd link roads for dead runs, stuff like that, if you really wanted, and short workings, and the odd college run like the 101 that's actually a college run in real life, the 105 that's similar. You could do things like that. But I think the 103 would logically be the next one to do, I think. As much as I do eat my own words by saying that. This is the thing with these shelters, you've always got to watch for people just popping out of them. Because they just, I mean, I'm the person that spawned out of nowhere. There is a little bit of a hint that I need to up the time a little bit, so we'll do it so that we leave here a minute late. So there we go. So just trying, I mean, as much as it's quite nice to just absolutely gun it and running early, I do want to try and keep some sort of time management on it so that we don't just end up 15 minutes early. Because if I wouldn't have sorted out any of the time anywhere, or waited anywhere, we would have ended up about 15 minutes early on this route. Easily 15 minutes early. Sturton. Oh, yeah, that'd be Sturton, won't it? Not the way that people from Leeds are used to how Sturton is spelt. Yeah, Sturton by Stow. I thought that when we were waiting for the bus, I was that busy reading the sign, I totally misjudged the distance. Very much misjudged the distance there. It's really easy done from like, when you look at field of view from far away, everything sort of looks bunched together. So you can just kind of assume somebody's waiting at the bus stop, or if you see them looking like they're just stood there, you assume they're waiting for the bus in this game. Totally different ball game in real life. But and you decided to indicate it right last second. Lovely. They've indicated a little bit earlier. We could have pulled out a little bit earlier. There we go, my favourite road sign in this map. Excellent. If you hear a slight silence in between the sound of the bus, that's just because I'm clicking out to just double check that everything is still filming, because it was around this time in the recording that last time it just decided to say, no, I'm done. So I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't do that. So I'm just double checking it. Because I believe this will be one of the longest OMSI videos I've ever done by the time I finish this route. So basically means we've had two quite long ones pretty much back to back. I'll probably record one to go in the middle because I've recorded them pretty much one after the other. So I'm probably going to film a shorter one in between, because I understand there's not everyone's going to want to watch a long OMSI video. I mean, some of you will, and hopefully you enjoy that. I mean, the stats prove that some of you do, and I enjoy driving the long routes, but I also understand that there's a little bit of a niche for people that only want to watch a short route. Let's say you're watching 20 minutes, half an hour tops. So you don't all, unfortunately, get time to watch a full hour and a half plus video, especially watching that kind of length back to back. It's not always possible. So, and I do understand that. There we go, and that's Saxo Bay, so we are nearly there now. As for those of you that remember, Saxo Bay was the first section of the 100 route actually done on this map. It was Saxo Bay to Gainsborough. Look at how far it's come now. Those two waiting for the boss. That was a very nice hidden bus stop, was that? There we go. Good job I stopped. Otherwise I'd have been waiting an hour for the next one. There we go, I believe this was the last bus stop on the old Saxo Bay route before the Saxo Bay fictitious terminus that was introduced. So, but it's just so nice to see how this route's grown. I mean, there's not too much going on in the OMSI world at the moment, but our Mr. Moose is still cracking on with this. Still getting the expansions in on Lincolnshire. I just think it's pretty awesome. Wasn't even a point of me opening the doors there, because you'd have just kicked off about where I actually stopped. There we go. 2 minutes early again. I believe after this we then go on to the dual carriageway section. This is what I mean by there's just so much variety on this route. I think it's dual carriageway. Yeah, it is. It's along the lines of. Probably not a dual carriageway-esque thing, but it is still wide roads and bits like that. Yeah, there we go. It's the barriers that get me. But it's still a wide enough road. And then we're quite literally just straight on here, I believe. Unless there is a deviation. I can't remember. All the way over to Lincoln. I think the only thing that this route itself is missing is just a little bit of dual carriageway. Because it does have these roads, but I mean, if it doesn't have a dual carriageway in real life, you can't really introduce one fictitiously on here. Especially saying how much Mr. Moose has done to make this route as realistic as possible with the limited amount of assets that we do have available in OMSI 2 at the moment. So yeah, I don't blame him for not adding a dual carriageway. And I mean, you do get a little bit of something coming out of Scunthorpe, but it's not a fast road dual carriageway. I believe we are due in to Lincoln in about 14 minutes' time. It possibly won't take us 14 minutes to get there, but I'm quite certain that was the time. And if we left at 1:15 and it was an hour and 40 minutes, it is 13:55 we're due in. So yeah, it does feel very slow. Along a road like this, it does feel slow. Yeah, it doesn't even like, I mean, it's 55, and it doesn't act like it. It doesn't act like it at all. Just pulling here for a second. Let all the cars past. Not something I'd usually do, but I'll let them all pass. No, I'll let the singular van past. Lincoln, 3 miles on the A57. I was not aware that the A57 came this far across. That is a new surprise to me. So if you stay on the A57 all the way through, you could go all the way from Lincoln to Manchester, at least, possibly more as well, I'd imagine, but Lincoln to Manchester. Potentially a cool road trip idea for someone. Hey, another coastline of 700. Oh goodness. There we go, Lincoln straight on. And now the 107 has joined us, the short working that's currently in the release. It's fine, we got past the car, it's fine. Can tell I'm nearly at the terminus. Only for the car to overtake us again, but hey ho. The car's sped up now. Wasn't going that fast earlier. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the brakes on this. I do still like the livery though. I don't think that Stagecoach should get rid of the Interconnect livery. I do think it looks really cool. I mean, it doesn't have as much premise across the Interconnect network as it used to. No. It used to look really, really good when it used to be on all the different brands and all the different routes, and it used to look really corporate. It looked really, really cool. Not so much now. I mean, the 100s possibly. I think that and the 56 and 7, I would imagine, are the only routes that regularly actually get the Interconnect buses on. From memory, I can't think of any others in my head that really get the Interconnect buses on them. The 103 doesn't. The 103's got beach ball eclipses on. The 51 just gets beach ball on it, even though there are Interconnect eclipses that were refurbished and branded up for Interconnect on the 51. Never gets them on the 51. I know the 56 does get them because all of the NK57s from Scotland, well not Scotland, North East, sorry, NK is North East, SN is Scotland. But the NKs that came down from the Newcastle way to replace some of the Vikings, they all got painted up. So did the Oxford Scanias. So Skegness is still pretty on top of Interconnect. Skegness is also rather traditional when it comes to buses. I wonder why we're waiting at a green light. Oh, wait. It's the blue car again. Have fun at the council offices. Yeah, no response. Thought so. They're not a fan of my humour. It's got to be the busiest 100 service I've ever done on this game. Got to be the busiest. Because they never tend to be that busy to the buses on here. I know that sometimes in real life they can be quite busy, but on here they never seem to be that busy at all. And the next stop is the bus station. We've done very well for time. I think we've got predominantly quite lucky with the traffic lights on this run. Usually you just end up sat everywhere for ages. We just seem to have got relatively lucky with them. And there we go, pulling into the one and only Lincoln bus station. So we'll go straight into the offloading. And there we go, not in service. There we go, that's better. So there we go. So that was the Interconnect 100 service, the entire route from Scunthorpe to Lincoln via Gainsborough and all of the lovely villages in between. A lovely route, and would you believe it or not, to download this map it is absolutely free. It doesn't cost you anything, it's not a payware map, it is a free map. So hats off to Mr. Moose for making such an incredible addition to the map, the 100. I look forward to driving the new 107 that's just been finalised at the moment, and look forward to all the other expansions coming very soon. So do go and check the map out. I will leave the link in the description below so you can download Lincolnshire for yourself. It's one that I just recommend that you have. You should have this map. It is a lovely, lovely map to drive. We also did the route in absolutely record time. The idea that the videos is 1 hour and 23 minutes long at the moment, and the route is actually timed at 1 hour 40. Gives you an idea of how well we did for time on the route. So do prepare yourself to wait around and have to skip time a fair bit when you drive this route for yourself. So yeah, it's been a lovely run driving 10900, apart from the braking that wasn't always there, a little bit spongy. The fast acceleration was good. Lovely motor, and I do look forward to hopefully driving the 107 route, potentially the 100 again in the future. If you have enjoyed this video, do be sure to click that like button so that more people can find it and enjoy like you have. And if you haven't already, do be sure to subscribe to the Bus Videos YouTube channel for more content like this from the simulation section, as well as an archive of over 5,000 backseated engine-focused public transport videos from the UK and beyond. With buses, trams, trains and more, there's some fun on there for everyone. Additional 21 videos added per week. There's also quite a lot of Stagecoach East Midlands Trident videos there, so if you did enjoy my discussions about Tridents and potentially driving one on the 100, do go and check out those videos, as there's a fair few on there. Once again though, I would like to thank you all for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this one, and I will see you all in the next video, mate. Goodbye for now. Bye.